Excuse me, Dr. Latipo actually brought this up a little bit earlier. And if I remember correctly, I think there was an appeal 2 years ago, but you're a father of 2 little girls. And what is your take on transgender females playing sports with other girls?
Well, my take is evidenced by when I put my John Hancock on the legislation 3 years ago, saying that in Florida, girls have a right to compete against other girls in competitions that have integrity and that are fair. And you can't have a biological male butt into these competitions and win the trophies. It's wrong. And so I think that that's important. I think what we did is right. And, sometimes people will act like, that not allowing a biological male is somehow an imposition on that athlete. And they don't care about the imposition you're imposing on all these female athletes. I mean, you think about the training and everything that goes into that. And we did, when you had I think it was the 500-yard freestyle, where you had the swimmer from Pennsylvania who had been a men's swimmer, I think, for 3 years, then flipped to the women's team, and then won, quote unquote, that. The second place finisher was actually a swimmer from Sarasota. I think she was at University of Virginia or one of the schools up there. And that's someone that's probably trained for years and years at this, because you don't just get to be competing in NCAA just rolling out of bed. I mean, this is something you're doing when you're young and you're through middle school, high school most likely. And so you're doing that, and then you end up getting a second place finish, knowing that if they had just done it by the rules and had women competing against each other, you would have been the national champion. To me, that bothers me. I mean, I want people to know that the hard work will pay off and that you have a right to do that, apply that in competition, that is fair, that has integrity to it. That's really what it's all about. And the message that it sends is say, you know what, you do everything right, you work your tail off, you get in a position, and then all of a sudden you can have just the championship taken away from you. And why is it being taken away from these women and these girls who are competing in these competitions? It's doing it because the people, the powers that be in these institutions, like the NCAA, some of the high school, not in Florida, but some of these high school, they just don't have the courage to put their foot down and say no. They don't have the courage to do what's right because they're worried about being politically incorrect. Yes, they will get attacked by different groups, of course, probably a lot of media organizations. But that is not what leadership is all about. Leadership's about doing what's right. And I think what we did that very early on when this was starting, and we actually had a runner from Connecticut who was in the high school and lost. I think there were 2 biological males that won first and second place in those sprints. And it's just like, okay, that's just not right. So we're doing it right in Florida. Everyone has a right to compete, but you got to compete, based on the biology. That's the way to do it fairly, and that's the way where people can, particularly our young girls, can know, you work hard, you're going to have a chance to succeed, you're going to have a chance to compete with fairness.